Stangibelisco here again with a little explanation as to why switches in electric heaters malfunction so often. It used to be, they used to have them built a lot more ruggedly than they do today. But nowadays, unfortunately, they seem to be going the cheap route, and it has caused the bed of my pickup truck, big number 8, to become filled with demised space heaters over the course of the winter. I talked a little bit, though, about my excessive reliance on those appliances, and I'm going to be cured of that, if not by the failures and dangerous aspects of these heaters, but by the rate hikes that Black Hills Power repeatedly keeps hurling at us, which may eventually, by the way, cause me to leave this area altogether. That's just an aside, but here's sort of a little bit of a schematic diagram of what is going on with most of these space heaters. A lot of them have, for example, 2 different power settings, and that's the way that the one that failed this morning, April 2nd, 2014, is configured. One end of this pair of coils goes to the neutral or ground electrical connection. These 2 coils each are configured so as to draw 750 watts from the power source. That is 117 volts AC in the United States nominally at 60 hertz. Well, the way that I see this is that what you have here is you have a power switch of some sort that powers this entire heater on and off, and then you have a switch, and this is the way that it's probably configured, that switches in. If the switch is open, one of the coils is connected and the thing draws 750 watts. If you close that switch, both of these 2 coils are connected in parallel, and these are again resistance wire like nichrome or something like that. Connecting them in parallel doubles the power consumption because it cuts the resistance in half effectively, and you get both of these coils running at the same time, each one still drawing the 750 watts that it did, for a total on the power high setting of 1500 watts. I believe that's why a lot of these heaters are rated at either 750 or 1500 watts. Those are the 2 most common power settings in 2-setting heaters. Well, when you repeatedly open and close this switch, when current is flowing in the circuit, you are going to create arcing at this contact. That's sparking. That creates a short burst of intense heat, and those metal contacts on that switch will eventually wear out because they get melted. Sometimes they'll melt off. Sometimes they will melt into such a way as to cause a short circuit. They can fail in any of a variety of different ways, but the problem is that the mistake that I made, and the mistake that so many people make, is to have this thing powered up when you change the setting. The solution would be to power it down and then change the setting and then power it back up again. But I simply do not have that kind of patience, unfortunately. I guess that's maybe partly my fault, but heaters shouldn't be that fragile, in my opinion. I just don't think that that should be the case. These switches are simply not up to the task. They are not built ruggedly enough, and more rugged switches are not that expensive, for crying out loud. But I think that that is the basic problem with these things that fails most often. Now, other things that can happen, this little heater has a fan that blows air through it, blows air through these elements. If that fan fails, those elements will overheat. The heater should have an overheat sensor in it that'll shut it off. But are you going to bet your life and your house and your property and your children's or spouse's lives on the functioning of that little device? I don't think so. Not if you have a lick of sense. So that is the take from here on these electric heaters. They need to make these switches more rugged. Now, there is a particular kind of heater that has an electronic switch which I believe will overcome this defect. And I will write down the brand name of that heater so that you can look for it and get one if you absolutely must have a space heater. The brand name is Lasco. Lasco. I got it at a hardware store in Sheridan, Wyoming. And it cost a little more than those cheap ones. Those cheap ones for $9, maybe 10, 12, 15 bucks. This thing costs 50 bucks, but I think it's going to be worth it. Lasco. So look for that. That looks like, to me, from a technician's point of view, a good bet. But, don't hold me to that. Something's probably going to happen to that bloody thing tonight and make me wish I hadn't said this. Oh well, that's the luck of the draw. Stan Gibilisco signing off. No, I do not want to save changes to Windows Journal. I only want to go back to Jupiter and its moons. Until next time, so long.